Senate speaks fire over NDDC director's allegations of COVID-19 palliatives. Dr. Karo Ojubo has responded, and we hear from the Senate spokesperson on the matter tonight. And INEC says it does not have a rigging plan ahead of the Edo governorship election as the commission, the umpire, recruits a new resident electoral commission for Ekiti State today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloye in Lagos. Well, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has dismissed allegations from politicians who claim that the electoral umpire is conniving with some individuals to rig the forthcoming governorship election in Edo State. Addressing journalists after the administration of oath of office for the new resident electoral commission for Ekiti State, the chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, says the allegations are part of ploys to distract the commission from carrying out its duties. He assures that elections in Edo State will be free and fair. Our attention tonight is about the Senate's reaction to the allegation of COVID-19 palliatives. Reactions are also coming from the NDDC, especially from Dr. Karo Ojubo. It does look like it has become somewhat a non-issue now, but we get into it in a couple of minutes. But let's check some of your stories on our political roundup.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has gotten the blessing of President Muhammadu Buhari to embark on a legislative diplomacy visit to Ghana over hostilities against Nigerians living in that country. The House Speaker says he will be leaving for Ghana tomorrow. He is expected to meet with his Ghanaian counterpart and find a solution to the problem. President Muhammadu Buhari today met with the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, in a closed-door session, which the governor says is to seek the president's intervention in tackling erosion in the state. On political matters, the governor says the choice of candidate for presidency should be done on party basis and not tribal basis, and on the impasse between himself and his predecessor, Senator Rochas Okorocha. He says he bears no ill will against him, but that Senator Okorocha needs to realize that he is the governor of the state now.
You're welcome, sir.
As part of efforts to ensure that the budget implementation reflects the needs of the people, the Kwara State government is organizing a town hall meeting with the people of Kwara Central Senatorial District for their inputs. Some of the people present at the meeting represent various groups and are calling for recognition for women farmers, need for educational policy, and full implementation of the budget, among others.
Yobe State Independent Electoral Commission.
Yobe State government says it will conduct a chairmanship and councillorship election across its 17 local government councils and 178 political wards on December the 5th this year. The executive chairman, State Independent Electoral Commission, Dr. Maman Mohammed, disclosed this at a meeting with leaders of all political parties in the state.
There have been some kind of controversies over a newspaper publication. Yet again, these controversies coming over the issues of COVID-19 palliatives from the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. The director of projects, Dr. Karo Ojubo at the NDDC, has been speaking on the issues of the forensic audit and the involvement of politically exposed persons linked to how monies were spent and received, especially some persons in the National Assembly. Dr. Ojubo was reported to have said that in a newspaper story that the findings are mind-boggling. The senators denied the statement. Credit to Dr. Ojubo, alleging that senators got 20 million naira each from the agency as COVID-19 relief fund. But Dr. Karo Ojubo has since denied saying that. He said in a statement released a few minutes before we got into the studio, he said, and I quote, "I want to state without equivocation, without any hint of doubt, that I neither issued nor made such a statement. Indeed, there is no provision in the Commission's budget for such a payment. Dr. Ojugbo went further to say that, let me make it clear with all due respect to the hallowed chambers of the National Assembly, as well as the entire Nigerian public, that I would have resisted such a payment if it were ever brought up in the Commission. He went further to say, in the past few months, the Interim Management Commission, IMC of the NDDC, has championed a campaign to cleanse the Commission of obvious corruption and frivolous payments and restore it to its core mandate of facilitating the sustainable development of the Niger Delta region. A pillar of this campaign is instituting due process and plugging every dubious hole through which the funds of the Commission are diverted and frittered away. It does look like Dr. Ojugbo is saying, I'm not saying what they said, I said. And that's the basis of which we planned tonight's program. And so we invited the spokesperson of the Senate, Senator Basiru Ajibala. He joins us from Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Senator, for coming tonight. I've seen the statement released from your office about allegations of your colleagues collecting 20 million naira as COVID-19 fund. But the man whom you referred the statement to had come out to say he never said that. I'm not sure that's an issue, is it?
Yes, it may be an issue because as far as I'm concerned, the retraction only came after we have issued our statement from the Senate earlier this morning. The story went viral yesterday, and one wonders why it took about close to 48 hours for Dr. Carol Ojugbo to come up with the retraction. I think he was, possibly reacting to our statement, which clearly, categorically stated that the allegation are coming from any quarters of the National Assembly members collecting any dime for COVID-19 palliative is lies. They are lies and a wicked assumption in that regard. I'm a senator of the Federal Republic. I did not receive a kobo, and I also know that none of my colleagues in the National Assembly receive a kobo as COVID palliative. It is very important to say that the idea of scandalizing Nigerian Senate and the entire National Assembly anytime we decided to exercise our power of oversight is really mind-boggling. We may have to take legislative action for such baseless allegation. While we respect people coming to criticize us, criticism must be on the basis of fact, and criticism must be based with a view to improving our system. Criticism must not be on outright falsehood, calculating to smear the National Assembly members. We are people who, in our own private concern and professional endeavor, have done our best in the service of the society. We do not deserve any attempt to scandalize us. I surely say that no National Assembly member collected a kobo, not to talk of 20 million.
Let me, Senator, if I may, you are a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and you said that the government did not take care of you at all in all of this period of COVID-19. Is that what you are saying?
Take care of senators. In fact, we had to give out 50% of our salary for the entire period when the lockdown was in place. And that is our own sacrifice to contribute to the fight against the COVID-19 virus, and also to support the less privileged society. Even individual senators spent a large sum of money trying to provide palliatives and support for their community. Like, for instance, in my senatorial district, also Central, not only that we have a system by which we give monetary palliative, we also, during that period, engage in supporting people in terms of provision of food items, in terms of public enlightenment, and also in terms of face mask and hand sanitizer. So I would say
Senator,
that the COVID-19 actually called for humanitarian intervention on the part of some of us who are representing the people, and not an atmosphere to collect largesse from the government. And you know that COVID-19 palliative not only throw challenge in terms of health, is also throw challenge in terms of economy of our country. A situation whereby the price of oil in international market plummeted, a situation whereby additional spending had to be made in trying to rejuvenate the health infrastructure and to support the fight against COVID. So it comes really for sacrifice. It comes really for introspection on how we can move our health sector forward and not an atmosphere to share from the meager resource of our country.
Senator, Dr. Ojukwu has said no monies came from the NDDC as COVID-19 palliative to senators. But is there any fund that was given to senators or lawmakers from the budget of the Senate or from the National Assembly budget for anything relating to COVID-19 as a relief fund or something?
I said, Sheung, that rather than us collecting any money, we actually contributed 50% of our salary to the federal government for the fight against COVID-19 virus. So it could not have been the truth that we collected any money. But it's mind-boggling, and I must say this, that during the investigation of NDDC, it was discovered that NDDC IMC, Interim Management Committee, alleged to have spent about 1.9 billion for COVID palliative to their member. So it may just be a retort to our finding, which you have referred to the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, to look at the case of spending money without budgetary allocation, contract splitting, and expenditure that could not be justified. Like, for instance, a huge sum of money was said to have been spent by the NDDC management for travels in the month of May 2020. Mind-boggling, because our borders have been closed. So we wouldn't know whether they travel by way of spiritual means. So our discovery through the committee headed by Senator Olubunmi Adetumbi from Ekiti showed that there's really a need to look closely at NDDC and whether it has not become a search pool for filtering away the scarce resources of people of Niger Delta rather than concentrating on development.
Senator,
so
just a moment.
National Assembly member did not derive any amount of money for the purpose of COVID palliative.
All right. Let me bring into the conversation someone whom I've discussed a related matter with. Is a lawyer and former second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Onyekachi Obani, joins us from Lagos via Skype. Thank you so much, Mr. Obani, for your time tonight. How does this come to you? Dr. Ojukwu said nothing like that came from the NDDC, and the Senate is also reacting. In this kind of situation, when this kind of conversations come up, as a public affairs analyst, how does this come to you?
Well, Shehu, thank you for having me. Good evening, listeners. I think I was a bit taken aback when I heard that the members of the Legislative Assembly, National Assembly, collected huge sum of money as palliative during the COVID-19 pandemic. Why I was a bit shocked because the Nigerian citizens many Nigerian citizens did not collect anything in terms of palliative. Despite the total lockdown that occurred in all the states of the Federation, and people were out of job, they were not given any palliative, they were not given any relief material, apart from those that came from good-spirited Nigerians who decided to remember their people. Nigerians were totally, on their own, so to speak, during this time. We had a pandemic. So if members who are representing us is alleged to have collected such huge sums of money, as palliative, while the people they are representing did not collect any, it would have been very shocking and very surprising to some of us. But the man that made the statement said that it is not true. He was misquoted out of context and all that. So one can allow the matter to lie. He is the one that allegedly said it, and he said he didn't say it. And I think the members of the House should take it in that light.
All right, we'll take a break, but there are more issues to tackle tonight, especially on the issues of governance. On this program on Sunday, Professor Paul Tutomi, a popular political economist, had said that the National Assembly is a major problem in Nigerian political governance. So we take up the Senate spokesperson on those issues, and especially when the president intervened yesterday to say he does not like the way and manner things have gone between the executive and the legislature. So going forward, what are the new steps? The conversation continues after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get back to the conversation. I have the spokesperson of the Nigerian Senate, Senator Basiru Ajibala, is in our Abuja studio tonight, and also a lawyer and public affairs analyst, a former second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Onyekachi Ubani. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming tonight. Let me go back to Abuja with Senator Ajibala. Senator, you heard what the political economist there, the former presidential candidate, Professor Patutomi, said as regarding the role of the National Assembly. He did say that the National Assembly, in a lot of ways, overstep its bounds, and that the president's intervention also perhaps speaks volume on how things have not gone well between the executive and the legislature. For Professor Otomi, he says the National Assembly, a lot of the time, is the problem of governance in this country. How do you react to that?
I think the Professor Otomi's comment, I would not see it as him saying that the legislature is the problem of government. He's talking contextually that the legislature has overtaken the executive, particularly in the course of budget and appropriation. My understanding of that would be that, with greatest respect to Professor Patutomi as a political economist, is not speaking in line with the provision of the Constitution. Perhaps he may be excused because he's not a lawyer and he may not wear fast in that matter. Appropriation, making what is called a money bill, is actually the duty, responsibility, and constitutional, realm for the legislature. If you look at the pattern of our Constitution, Section 4 vested the legislative powers in the legislature, executive power in the president or governor, as the case may be, and Section 6 is about judicial power. When you go further into the Constitution, there are provisions for ordinary legislations and for what is called money bill. These provisions clearly show that the elected representative of the people, as represented by the legislative arm, has crucial constitutional role to play in ensuring that they scrutinize what has been appropriated. Really, if Professor Utomi had adverted to even the basis of executive power, particularly in the development of democracy, we see that the bulwark of representation, the bulwark of the democratic expression of the people is actually in the legislative arm. In a parliamentary system, for instance, even the executive will have to emerge from the legislative arm. Now that we have a presidential system, which is called executive system, it does not derogate from the fundamental role that the legislative arm had to make in terms of ensuring even the utilization of resources and allocation of national resources. The National Assembly, particularly the United States Senate that I speak for, has not in any way done anything outside the constitutional mandate to ensure
Senator,
that the
Senator, if I may cut in just for a moment,
submitted by the executive is appropriated.
Senator, if I may cut in, what the professors told me on Sunday here, right in this studio, was the fact that the National Assembly has the power of oversight in the Constitution. But the fact that the National Assembly is consistently overstepping its bound, that means they are doing more than what they should be doing. They are hounding members of the executive. They are doing what they should not be doing, the role of the executive, in a lot of ways. And if you say you are not, why then is the president intervening and constituting a committee to find a way out? Because consistently, there is being a face-off between members of the executive and the legislature. And the word out there, allegations are that some members of the National Assembly are always hounding members of the executive, especially ministers.
I don't know. You see, Seun, I'm always very careful when people make overgeneralized statements. Professor Tommy perhaps if he said that, I didn't hear him say it from what the excerpt I listened to. I want to ask him, let him give empirical evidence of instances that the National Assembly, as president constituted, have overstepped his bond. It's easy to make general statements. You can point out one or two instances. Then, as to what I listened from the speech of the Mr. President, he was referring to executive and legislative excesses that has caused our party loss in an election. And he's talking about creating a synergy between the executive and legislature for the purpose of actualizing our program, and the idea of having the Legislative Executive Consultative Forum inaugurated by Mr. President under the leadership of Professor Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, is even at the instance of the leadership of National Assembly. We want to cut down the time that we use on executive bills and ensure that there is clear understanding as to policy behind those legislation, particularly those that advance the interests of Nigeria. And as you have seen, because of the harmonious relationship between the present National Assembly and the executive, we have also been badly criticized as if as
Senator, I disagree with you when you say I disagree with you when you say there is a harmonious relationship. We've seen at least 3 ministers that have gone face off with the members of the National Assembly at public hearings. But let me allow Mr. Ubani to come in quickly. You are a lawyer, interestingly, and you have a PhD, a lawyer with PhD and a senator there, also saying that reeling out the sections of the law. But then, for you, when Professor Otomi says a lot of the times members of the National Assembly overstep his, but he made specific instance of the process of budgeting that chairmen of appropriations committee, they overshadow the process of budgeting. What's your take on that?
I think Prof. Utomi was a bit nice in the use of language, talking about excessive use of power. The other time I came to channels and I spoke about the relationship between the members of the House and the executive, and I made it especially clear that most times in this so-called oversight function of the members of the House, it's time for them to line up their pockets. And immediately I finished that interview, several people in government called me and they were very happy with what I said, because most times we are victims, but they don't want to speak out of what they see and what they face anytime they are doing their budget defense. There are instances where members of the Legislative Assembly have asked certain amount of money to be inserted into budget for themselves, and there are evidences. There are instances where the so-called oversight function have asked for employment for their cousins and relations by way of putting pressure on the executive. There have been instances that is clearly overbearing instances where they have asked for certain favors, and if you refuse to actually grant them those favors, your budget will suffer in the hands of the Legislative Assembly. It's been going on for years. It's not as if it's probably something that is current with this government. It's even from 1999 today, and nobody has ever been bold enough to speak these things out. And the executive have not been doing that by speaking and telling Nigerians what they have been suffering in the hands of those so-called people who are representing us. And I think it is important we begin to say these things, begin to hammer it on national television, on radio, on national media, that it is wrong for us to operate our own democracy in a manner that is very strange. There must be some level of altruism and patriotism on the part of those who represent us. Most times we don't see that representation. And Nigerians have been complaining that they never had any issue of quality representation by their representatives. And I'm very happy that even the leadership of the House recognizes that. The last time the Speaker was speaking, he said Nigerians, they are not ignorant of the fact that Nigerians are not happy with them. And the issue and the truth of the matter is that majority of Nigerians are not happy. One, with quality of representation. They are not happy with the quality of laws that are being made by our National Assembly.
So because we are
not happy.
Yeah, Mr. Ubani, because we're out of time, but I will allow the Senator just about 20 seconds to quickly react to what you've said so that we can close. Senator Ajibola, please, your reaction in 20 seconds so that we can close, please.
My simple reaction is to challenge Mr. Monday Ubani, who I know very well to be courageous, to supply the evidence of those instances that it came about. We cannot be making general statement and castigating all legislators. I say clearly, I, Dr. Ajibola Bashiru, have not used any oversight function that have been given to me to extort money from anybody, and have not used my office to get any employment. You cannot commit fallacy of acid generalization without coming with concrete instances. And I'm speaking on the national television, and I challenge anybody that has evidence I've done so to come forward. And same for many other dignified and respectable people and distinguished senators of the Federal Republic.
All right.
Yes, there have been challenges in the past, but the Ninth Senate has come and raised the bar and ensuring that we have made legislations that improve our economy. For instance, the deep offshore deal was done.
Senator, we might not be able to go further because of our time. I'm being told that we need to close now. Senator,
if you have evidence against them.
Senator Ajibola, Senate spokesperson, I must indeed thank you tonight for your time. And Mr. Mondo Ubani, thank you so much for your thoughts that you have shared with us tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.